Frinton-on-Sea. What does that name convey to you? Just another seaside resort? Or does it conjure up something rather exclusive? For Frinton is the place which prides itself on having neither pubs nor buses. But the tide of change may be threatening Frinton. A proposal has been put forward to build an 11-story block of flats on the seafront. And this proposal has split Frinton opinion down the centre. Well, let's try and penetrate this enclave of Frinton and discover for ourselves just how much Frinton is, or is not, changing.
This crossing acts as a kind of unofficial portcullis, the gateway to Frinton. This is Connaught Avenue. Along this road no buses run, only the better types of motor car. In summer in this road you will hear the nicer type of accent. Look hard enough and you will, if you know about these things, see the ties of the more exclusive regiments and public schools. Look as hard as you like, you will never find a public house. There are some fine shops though, where one can buy cakes for afternoon tea. Delicious, crumbly, homemade cakes which tempt the shopper from behind elegant, bow-fronted windows. Or flowers, a necessity for gracious living. Clothes for the young Frintonian. Or novelties. Until recently, Frinton stood as unchanging as the Albany. Then the breakers started chipping at the Esplanade Hotel. To some this seemed the thin edge of a very thin wedge. Not so Mr. Hector Humphrey.
Sad sight?
No, I don't think so. It's an old building. It has to come down to make place for this new building that's going up.
What is this new building that's going up?
Well, I understand it's a block of flats about 100 foot high.
But won't this skyscraper lower the tone of exclusive Frinton?
Well, I don't like this word exclusive, to start with. It's not really a very exclusive place. It gives a sound of rather snobbishness that we haven't got here in actual fact.
What sort of people do you think these new buildings will attract? New sort of person?
No, I don't think so. I think they know Frinton as it is, and when they come to these flats, which they've got to pay, I understand, £5,000 each for, they must be coming to live in them because they like Frinton as it is, and I'm sure they won't feel like changing it. There'll be no risk of the running about with paper hats, eating fish and chips and candy floss.
Not at £5,000?
No, not at £5,000 each. No, they're the type that want to come to Frinton as it is now.
Frinton certainly has a fine seafront. This is the greensward, where notice is worn that the grass is not for picnicking. In summer, the beach drink is often champagne. I met Hotelier Mr. Holden. Had he any strong views on the changing face of Frinton's front?
Yes, I have very strong views. I've been making my protest concerning it since I first heard of the scheme and saw the plans. To have a concrete monstrosity that they've planned to have in Frinton on the front in the most prominent position in the town is quite unsuitable to the character of the town.
I wonder if you could tell us something about the building, what it looks like.
Well, it's to be 11 stories high, mostly in concrete, and built on stilts with an open carport underneath.
Frinton has nothing very ancient or old. Most of the buildings date from 1920 or 30, and some people would say that you're being rather backward in refusing to accept what they would consider a very desirable building.
Well, beauty doesn't depend on age. You only have to come down here in the summer and go down on the beach, and you will see that age doesn't necessarily lend to beauty.
Do you regard this new building as the thin end of the wedge?
I think it may well be. I already heard a rumour last week that another place is being pulled down and a similar building is being erected. And once you start, it'll go on and Frinton will lose its uniqueness. I think in time we shall find that it'll be known as Frinton's Folly.
This delightful building is the Council House. Here Frinton and Walton Urban Council meet monthly. I talked to the chairman, Councillor William Narbut, at his home.
You see, now we are getting so many bungalows, and of course a bungalow takes up a lot of ground, and there's only so much ground to be had. Therefore, the answer is you must go up.
Build upwards.
Oh, yes, and of course, 60 flats will take up far less area, land, than 60 bungalows.
Have you argued this in council?
Oh, yes, and of course in the local press and with people there's been a lot of opposition from the old diehards in Frinton.
What is the basis of the opposition against this?
Well, they want to keep it as it was 40 years ago. There are a few of the old ones left. Well, of course, they can't do it. There's changes has come and is coming all over the country, and it must come in Frinton.
Have you seen many changes?
After the First World War, there was a change. There you had the new rich came in. They were able to still buy or build the large houses in the avenues, and they were able to get the staff. Then the Second World War came, and that altered things entirely. You had the old type of person was more what we would call the aristocrat, the cultured rich. They were more or less wiped out. Then you had inflation, and then you had the great difficulty of getting domestic servants.
These people who come to Frinton, if Frinton's changed, what do they come for?
Well, Frinton still has its name of being very select.
Would you say this is a snob appeal?
Oh, yes, most decidedly.
But, as these notices show, visitors, dogs and deliverymen are still expected to know their place. Fetch is popular in Frinton, although this is not what it might seem. At this tennis club in summer, Wimbledon stars play. And at this golf club, wealthy and influential men. At one time, no tradesman could become a member, but today, a grocer may tee up with a knight. In one of these delightful avenues lives Mrs. Crawford, a councillor's
I
wife.
saw you looking at the building which is being demolished. Were you looking in sadness or eager anticipation?
I feel very sad about it.
Oh, why is that?
Well, Frinton is rather a lovely residential resort, and we feel that a block of flats is rather too urban for Frinton.
You already have a great number of bungalows. Why don't you object to those?
Oh, the bungalows are nice and neat and tidy, and they don't overshadow Frinton at all.
Is there any other objection?
No, I don't think so, except that such a building would be quite out of keeping with all the existing buildings and the houses which are beyond.
There's nothing in this, is there, that Frinton wants to be different for the sake of being different, to keep out the modern trends?
Oh, not in that sense. We just want to live a nice, quiet life, enjoying our greensward, our sand and our sea.
What of the younger viewpoint? I asked this girl what there was for young people in Frinton.
Well, there's not an awful lot, really. There are the Young Conservatives Club, and there's the Badminton Club.
Tell me, are you a Young Conservative?
No, I'm not myself.
So, if you're not, where do you go if you're not a Young Conservative?
Well, there's not really anywhere to go. I'm not a member of either of the clubs.
And you'd like to see something done about this,
Oh,
would
yes,
you?
yes, I would.
For
For 39 years, railwayman Jack Bright was custodian of the famous gates. I asked him how he viewed changes in Frinton.
Well, my views are very sentimental.
No.
I don't want to see it go, and I don't want to see a big block of flats put up there, 10 and 11 story high, because it's not in the keeping with the seafront.
Has anything changed at Frinton Station?
Oh yes, it's changed quite a lot. Because years ago, there used to be about 95% of the people season ticket holders, first class season ticket holders. And I can also remember when we used to have the trains in the station waiting to be unloaded 35 and 40 minutes.
Oh, is that much luggage?
And much luggage, you see.
Now, I've heard about trains, but you've never had buses in Frinton, have you?
Oh yes, we had a horse bus.
Oh?
Yes, we had a horse bus there, and of course that used to do quite a bit of trade, backs and forwards to the station. And Of course, it's never allowed to take no more than about 6 passengers.
What happened to the horse bus?
Oh, the horse died and the driver retired and they put the bus away and I think it's under shelter now somewhere.
And that was the end of that?
That was the end of that.
Frinton is changing. Bungalows are being built there which would not have been built 30 years ago. Tradesmen are now welcome at the clubs. Perhaps slightly fewer top people holiday at Frinton today. Von Ribbentrop has gone, and so has the horse bus. And the Greensward Hotel, though being demolished, is almost gone too. But Frinton, in this age of conformity, remains different. Is this such a crime?